Okay. Sorry, I think I have to do this twice. For some reason, it just doesn't happen always the first time. There we go. Okay, so week 3. I'm going to skip the intros. Everybody knows me by now. I don't think anybody's joining for the 3rd time. I will say again, anything we talk about today, nothing has been proven simply because it can't be proven. I want to look at shopping and substitutions and eating out today. But before we do that, we got some questions at the end of last time that I think we didn't answer. I said that I did not know about popcorn and acrylamides. So I did a little research on that after we hung up. There isn't a lot on it. What I did find, and I think this study was actually out of Ukraine when they were still functioning for things. And it said that because it's a very short heating time, there was no acrylamide formation in the microwave popcorn. That's one study. There's another study out of, I think it was China, that said it was a very low level in microwave popcorn unless it had a lot of sugar in it, like it was caramel coated or something. I have to say that I don't do the processed microwave in the bags. I also included in the handouts today a more thorough list that the USDA put out of acrylamides in foods. And I pulled everything out of there that was popcorn. And so you can see some have a lot more acrylamides than others. The skinny popcorn has less than 10 whatever particles this is, where Simply Balanced has 587. So there seems to be a pretty good range of acrylamides in microwave popcorn. I can tell you this though, this is how I make popcorn. I do eat popcorn for a snack. This is a microwave popcorn safe bowl that I got off of Amazon. I just do popcorn kernels in it. There is no oil. You just put it in the microwave and it pops. And then when it comes out, I spray it with a little pan spray and a little salt. We also had some questions about air fryers last time. And I looked to see if there were any studies on this. I found a couple. And what they all said is that air frying reduced the acrylamide content by about 90% compared to conventional deep oil frying. But, you know, the whole purpose of using an air fryer is you're using less oil and you're cooking at less time. And the thing, and I don't know about your air fryer. I have kind of a no bells, no whistles one. It only goes up to 375. So the air fryer, frying your food, cooking your food on a high temperature, and the longer it's in there causes acrylamide. So I think air frying is a much safer way to do it. And I think this is one out of Korea. I couldn't find a lot of studies on this. Again, in general, higher temperatures and longer cooking time will result in higher levels of acrylamide, regardless of the cooking method. So I think you use your air fryer the same with all the same regulations that you would, you know, a regular oven. I did find this, I forgot to tell you about this. If you take your potatoes and you soak them for 15 to 30 minutes in water before you fry them, it reduces the acrylamide level. Also, if you don't store your potatoes in a refrigerator, it reduces the acrylamide level. Again, we don't know that it absolutely is carcinogenic. It's just, you know, leaning in that direction. I want to say just a minute about the glycemic index, talk for a minute. I don't spend a lot of time on this because I think everything that I cover in the second expert report and the third expert report kind of covers this. I don't do, I said white rice, white bread. I rarely do white potatoes. What the glycemic index is, it's a measure of how specific foods increase your blood sugar levels. And it goes from 0 to 100. 100 is like table sugar. It's going to be the highest processed white table sugar. I want to talk about sugars in a minute. That's why I bring this up. So stuff that's low on the glycemic index are green vegetables and lentils, that kind of thing. Everything we talked about, a healthier way of eating, and stuff that's high on a glycemic index is going to be your white rice and white bread. Anything that is more processed is going to be higher on the glycemic index. For instance, I put down here just oatmeal, okay? You can buy instant oat, you can buy rolled oats, or you can buy steel cut oats. The instant oats that are more processed are going to be higher on the glycemic index. They're going to be processed by your body more quickly than steel cut oats. Okay? And why this is important, why I bring it up at all, is because they have found that eating a diet with this high glycemic load, they call it, gives you a higher risk of an endometrial cancer and a higher risk of diabetes. And diabetes actually increases your risk for a lot of other cancers. That being said, all of this kind of fits into everything I've already talked about. But let's take a look at sugars. And I know this is hard for a lot of people to give up. I mean, we're kind of weaned on sugar. White sugar is, again, 100 on the glycemic index. Stevia has a 0 rate on the glycemic index. I personally don't use a lot of sugar. I don't do a lot of desserts. When I do, I use this turbinado sugar, which is slightly less. Like I say, I'm kidding myself. Or honey is, at least you get some nutrients in honey, but we really need to stay away from the sweet stuff. Let's take a look at labels. This is something somebody sent me. Peanut butter. Peanut butter should just have peanuts in it. That's hard to find in a grocery store. What you find are this, it's got fully hydrogenated vegetable oil and preservatives, but all of your nut butters should just be the nut. This is peanut butter, almond butter, just raw almonds, sunflower seed butter. This one has salt in it. Here's another sunflower butter. That's why you need to read your labels. This one has sugar and salt. This one has monodiglycerides or whatever. Should just have sunflowers in it. Saw this not that long ago, last week or something, in my newsfeed, why some margarine may now be healthier than butter. It's not. It's not. They're telling you that because it's probably lower in saturated fat than butter. But that being said, it has all those oils in it and preservatives in it. This is a Country Crock baking sticks, a vegetable oil blend, soybean oil, sunflower, palm kernel oil, all these preservatives. This is not healthier than butter. Earth Balance, same thing. Palm oil, soybean, canola, olive, well, that's all right. Preservatives. When I first got diagnosed, and I used to eat margarine, I missed it. And I kept going into Whole Foods saying, I'm reading the labels. I said, there must be something here. There's nothing. I learned to live without it. I now do a little avocado on my toast, or I do a little bit of jam, very little, the one that's all fruit in moderation. This is a map of the cancer incidences of the world. Dark blue being the worst. And you can see where we are. We're dark blue. We're dark blue because we are a wealthy nation and we eat well. We eat a lot of preserved food. We eat a Western diet and we have a weight problem. A lot of us are overweight. We're one of the worst in the world. Tortillas. This is kind of hard to find, but you can find them. Tortillas should be nothing more than ground corn and water. TJ's has traces of lime instead of all these preservatives. Really have to read the labels on everything. But once you get the brand you use, then you just buy that brand. Yogurt should just be non-fat milk. Non-fat, I do non-fat yogurt, but it shouldn't have When you start getting the flavors in, now it becomes unhealthy. We've got a ton of sugar. We've got a ton of preservatives. We've got palm kernel oil in it. No. Take your yogurt and put a little fruit in it. Somebody sent me this, and then as soon as they sent it after my first workshop, they said, don't bother, Pam, I know, clearly it's no good. But I'm putting it up there because she sent it, and you can see it. This is a Maxwell House International coffee. It has hydrogenated coconut oil in it, all those preservatives. No, I don't know if you can see that or not. Just make a cup of coffee, put some flavors in it if you want, but this stuff is not good for us. And then she said, I eat Italian bread. Bread is tough. Bread is very tough to find a healthy bread on the shelf because they have to make it shelf stable. And so they're putting preservatives in it. I make a lot of bread myself. It's relatively easy. If we have time, I'm going to show a video at the end. And if I don't, I'm not going to say I never eat processed food because that would be a lie, but I try to make the best choice that I can within this. I personally, if I'm not making my own, I eat Dave's. It's got sugar in it. It's got enzymes in it. The enzymes are the preservatives, but it's the lesser of the evils. A lot of bread has a lot, and we are lucky enough now too. There's a lot of great artisan breads out that aren't packaged, that, are just fresh. Those are going to be better in the long run because they don't have preservatives in them. Somebody sent me this. This actually looks great. Trader Joe's organic rolled oats with ancient grains and seeds. And there's nothing in it but those 5 ingredients, ancient grains. And she said that she makes 4-minute muffins in the morning. And I think I'd like that recipe if you would like to share that with us. That looks pretty good to me. Somebody sent me this Arizona diet green tea with ginseng. It's got honey, but it's got preservatives. I know that we are used to just going to a shelf for everything. It's just, what we're used to. But this is so easy to make. I make iced tea all the time, and I take a big gallon jug and I fill it with water and I put a couple tea bags in it, and I put it out in the sun. In a couple of hours, I've got a gallon of tea. And then if you want, you can add, you can add ginger, you can add honey. I try to avoid this kind of thing. Speaking of those sweeteners, because this has the iced tea had sucralose in it. So I pulled this from the American Cancer Society. So the non-nutritive, the sweeteners, they usually have they usually don't have calories. They also have no nutrients. Aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, stevia. The American Cancer Society says that if we eat a normal amount, it's perfectly safe. That's what they're saying. What caused the big hubbub is a bladder cancer in lab animals at a really high level. What they're saying is the daily normal intake, you would have to have 40 of those little packets to overdo their normal daily limit. So they're saying it's safe. I personally don't do it, but American Cancer Society says it's safe. This was interesting. Somebody sent me a wholesome organic molasses. And when I looked at this label, I pulled it up online, it has an acrylamide warning right on it. And I wondered why. The reason why is because I guess they take, and I don't usually use molasses in anything. They take the cane sugar and they boil it. And this is not the first boiling of it. This is the 3rd or 4th boiling of it. And again, the longer you cook something, the more apt you are to get acrylamides. So I went to that list, that FDA list, and I pulled all the molasses out of it to see the acrylamide levels. And black strap molasses, which is what this is, black strap molasses has the highest acrylamides because it's cooked. The difference between black strap molasses, over 2,000 acrylamides, as opposed to another one. I think if you're going to use this, again, in moderation, and they make an amber one, I'd go with the one that wasn't blackstrap. Rolled oats, I certainly eat oatmeal. Again, I think we're probably better off with steel cut, but I don't eat steel cut every day. I don't have time to make it. I eat this. Somebody sent me this and they said they do this, I think, every day, or gain a protein shake. I had a friend who had throat cancer, and he was drinking this stuff, and a lot of it is just all sugar. It's not great. And I said to my oncology dietitian, is there something he can do that's better for him? And she suggested Orgain, because it's not quite as much sugar, and I guess it's got vegetables in it. That being said, I'm wondering why you just don't make your own protein shake. Again, we're used to getting things off a shelf, but this has a lot of preservatives in it. Locust bean gum, that's a preservative. I just think you'd be better off making it from scratch if you could. Rice vinegar, something, again, I don't do a lot of. I happen to be in the Asian section this weekend for a friend, and you can get rice vinegar without sugar. This one's got sugar in it. I'd make the other choice. Salmon from Costco. We learned this last week. Salmon, canned salmon, Pacific salmon, wild Alaskan salmon, it's all high in omega-3s and low in mercury. This is a perfectly good choice. Trader Joe's snacks. And again, I know what we're used to. This is crispy Thai chilies and sesame seeds. I pulled the ingredients. You can see that there's just a lot of stuff in there. There's oil, and I'm sure this is deep fried. This is hard to get away from, I know, especially that's, what you're used to, but this kind of thing is not good for us. Another snack from Trader Joe's, slightly better in ingredients. It's got peanut butter and corn grits and that high oleic sunflower oil and salt, but it's deep fried. This is, if you can, I would suggest just kind of weaning yourself off this kind of eating. I don't think you're going to find anything like this that's healthy. When I want a snack, I do popcorn. I do a handful of nuts. I do fruit. It's just a question of changing your diet. Okay, so somebody sent me this. It's a brownie mix. I don't think you can get a healthy brownie mix. I would just make my own. It's not that hard. This person happens to be gluten-free, but there are gluten-free recipes out there. And even saying that, even making my own, it's just, we need to just get away from eating this stuff. Cocktail sauce. It's got soybean oil in it. It's got preservatives. This is very easy to make. This is ketchup and horseradish. Just mix them together and you can get sugar-free ketchup. It's 2 ingredients to make your own. This is a miso soup mix. I don't know. It does have preservatives in it. I don't know how to make miso soup. I try to stay away from, when I see a list this long with things I can't pronounce, I usually stay away from it. This is a seaweed salad mix that looks like it is just 5 different kinds of seaweeds that you soak in water to dehydrate them again. This looks perfectly good. The salad dressing recipe does not look too bad. Little oil, a little sugar, but not too bad. Looks perfectly healthy. Vegan crab cakes. We talked about this last week. This vegetable faux protein stuff is not healthy. Look at all the ingredients in it. Okay, it's got preservatives. It's got this pea protein in it that the jury is out about yet. They don't know whether that pea protein is good or not. It's not a complete protein, for starters. And there's also some controversy about finding glyphosate in it, that Roundup stuff, that it's hard to find a pea protein without glyphosate in it. Besides this being a processed food, if you can get away from this, I think to eat well, you have to get back in the kitchen. And if you can't do it all at once, just kind of, wean yourself back in there. I got this email from someone that said, I saw a tasty looking vegetable paella yesterday recipe. After sauteing the mirepoix, which is onions, celery, and carrots, it's a French word for that. It calls for a 1/4 cup of dry sherry to round out the flavors and loosen the fond. Would you please address it? This is real typical. They do it a lot with meat too. If you first of all, you do it in a fry pan, and then you take some sherry or some kind of alcohol and you loosen the particles on the bottom. There's no studies done on this. Let me just tell you what I do know about this. Alcohol does not burn off immediately. You think you pour it in a pan and it sizzles and it's burned off. It is not. Alcohol takes about 2 to 3 hours to actually burn out of a dish. So just know if you're doing this, and that's a 1/4 cup of dry sherry, I would imagine this is for 3 to 4 people. So you're having an ounce of alcohol. There's no studies on that. Nobody, what they've studied is 1 drink a day, which is 5 ounces of wine, has been known to increase your risk of some cancers. 1 drink a day, this is 1 ounce. And how often are you going to make this? I certainly put occasionally alcohol in my food, but not very often. But occasionally I would think that this is perfectly safe if you're not doing it on a daily basis. And I doubt you are. I'm not going to have time to go into this, but I did say that let me do this. This is like a 3-minute video. I'm not going to go into it, but you do have the link there. I did say that I sometimes fill gel caps with turmeric. You can buy them this way too. I fill them myself. I just buy a bag of turmeric and fill them myself. They're a lot less expensive this way. And that little contraption that you buy on Amazon for like, $12 or something shows you how to do it. So I'm not going to take the time today, but if you want to, you've got the link. Beets. I do this every week. Beets are they are a superfood. I always have a bowl of beets in my refrigerator, and this is how I do it. You take your beet, you wrap it in foil, and you put it in the oven, 350, 400 for about an hour. When a knife goes through it easily, it's done. You wait for it to cool off, then you run it under cold water, and all the skin comes off. You don't have to peel. It's the easiest way to do beets. That's my beet salad. I gave you the recipe for that. It's beets with basil and walnuts on arugula. This is something else I do. I spend a couple of hours in the kitchen on a Sunday. I always have cooked vegetables in my refrigerator. Anything that is a little tired at the end of the week, and I think this probably comes from growing up in the 50s and the 60s and clean your plate. There are people starving in Europe, but nothing goes to waste at my house. And so I chop it up. First of all, I spray a lasagna dish with some pan spray. I chop up whatever vegetables, mix them up. And I mix them up with some oil, and I don't use oil anymore, just salt, pepper, and a little garlic. I put a little bit, like literally maybe 2 tablespoons of water in the bottom. I cover it. I cook it at 400, 450 for about an hour, and I have cooked vegetables. If you have stuff ready in the refrigerator, and this is pretty easy, yeah, you can even do it with frozen vegetables. You're more apt to go for something healthy if there's something healthy. If I get home late or whatever, I can put it in a salad. I can put it on a pizza. I can do a quick stir fry. I can use it as a side to a piece of fish. It's just there and ready. This is something else I do on a weekly basis. This is fruit. Any fruit that's a little tired. Apples, pears, peaches, nectarines, apricots. I cut it up. This has berries in it. And I mix it up with pumpkin pie spice and cinnamon. Put the foil on it, cook it, and I've got that for dessert. I have a nice, healthy dessert. You heat that up, it tastes like, you know, an apple pie without the crust. Salad dressings. Salad dressings, it is, I can't find a healthy one. They all have preservatives. They have to be shelf stable. They almost all use cheaper oil than expensive oil. This one does not. It's using the better oil avocado, but mostly you'll see soybean or safflower or sunflower oil in here. They all have preservatives. This is TJ's. It says no preservatives. It has xanthan gum. It's what they call a stabilizer. I would call it a preservative. It's got to have a preservative. It's sitting on the shelf. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to attempt to show you how to make salad dressing. I gave you my entire chapter on salad dressings from the book. They're super easy to do. I do some with non-fat yogurt. I do a horseradish dressing. I do a garlic dressing. But anyway, I'm going to attempt to do this. We'll see. It's olive oil. This is balsamic vinegar, 50-50. A little bit of garlic. Well, yeah, got some on the floor. Okay. Salt and pepper. I'm going to do a shot. Bring it back here. A shot of mustard. And a little honey, which is not going to come out. Put the lid on and mix it. That's it. It's a honey mustard dressing. It is just that easy. So there, you know, no preservatives, no bad oils. The thing about this dressing, though, somebody brought it to my attention, is that after you put it in the refrigerator, the oil coagulates. It becomes like a clump. So before you use it next time, you have to like take it out a half an hour before, or I put it in the microwave on a defrost setting for like 10 or 20 seconds and the oil will thin out again. Pan spray is not all equal. It should just have your oil in it. I'm sorry to say that my namesake is very unhealthy. It's got coconut oil and palm oil and preservatives. Don't pull my namesake off a shelf. Quinoa, somebody sent me, very healthy. It's a grain, it's protein, but just make sure, you know, they make it now that you just microwave it. It's already cooked and it usually has oil in it. This one's made with coconut oil. Just make sure it's got either a healthy oil or cook it yourself. Almond milk should just have almonds and water in it. That's hard to find. What it has is a lot of other stuff in it, especially when you start putting flavors in there. Substitutions. Okay. So I pulled this off the web, but I tend to agree with it. So I use whole wheat flour instead of a white flour. And a lot of times I will take those rolled oats and I just put them in a grinder and I grind them up and I've got oat flour and I will substitute usually half. The whole texture changes if you use it all oat flour, but usually half whole wheat and half oat flour. This is the whole wheat flour that I use. A lot of people don't like whole wheat because it's really heavy and rustic. I use this white whole wheat flour. It's like a cross between whole wheat and white flour, all-purpose flour. So this is what it is. They're different kind of wheats. And the whole wheat flour that we know that tends to be more rustic and heavy is a red berry on the stalk. And the one I use is a white berry on the stalk. So that's the berry after they take it off. And then what they do to make white flour is they take out, they have like huge contraptions. It's a big business now. They take out the bran and the germ. And then what's left, they grind up and they bleach. So you're not getting any nutrients in white flour at all. And years ago, whole wheat flour was considered like peasant flour. That's for people, who don't know. And the people who had money could afford the processed flour. So, it was for the more elite. And then somebody said, we're missing all the vitamins here. So it kind of switched, and people know that whole wheat is better for you now. Of course, all your baking and everything, you're used to that lighter texture in all purpose, but it's darn close. White whole wheat flour is awfully close to that lighter texture. Unsweetened applesauce or bananas is a good substitute for butter. Non-fat Greek yogurt for sour cream, or my yogurt cheese that I showed you on week 1. Avocado for mayonnaise or butter, or again, that yogurt cheese is a great substitute for mayonnaise. Ground turkey or chicken for red meat. Extra virgin olive oil or canola oil for, when we talked about that, all those vegetable oils. A dark leafy green for iceberg or romaine lettuce. Iceberg lettuce has absolutely no nutrients in it. I'm going to say absolutely, but it is 90% water. So if you're having a salad with that, you're just kind of defeating the purpose of having a salad. Kale, mustard greens, spinach, mustard greens. Well, just a heavy dark green. You're so much better with than romaine or iceberg. Skim milk I use for full fat milk or cream, and 2 egg whites for a whole egg. This is a substitution that I do. I don't make this a lot, but I went back to school in my 40s, and I went to the LAUSD, and they make a killer coffee cake. If you've ever been there, they bring it out in the cafeteria on big sheets, and it is gone. People are waiting in line for that thing. I don't know if they still do it. And the recipe was a big secret. Nobody ever knew what was in it until they put it in the LA Times. So then I did a substitution. So just let me tell you, this is how I substituted this and how I normally substitute. It's not that I never bake. I don't bake every week, but when I do, this is what I do. This calls for baker's flour. I use the white whole wheat flour. It calls for a cup of brown sugar and a half a cup of granulated sugar. I use 3/4 of a cup. I cut that in half of that turbinado sugar. Salt, nutmeg, 3/4 of a cup of salad oil. I cut it to 1/3 of a cup of canola oil. I always cut my sugar and I always cut my oil, and you wouldn't really know the difference. And then just spices. An egg, I use 2 egg whites. Buttermilk, I take my skim milk with a teaspoon of vinegar or a squeeze of lemon, and it kind of curdles up and it gives you that sour flavor instead of buttermilk. Okay, so this is actually my coffee cake. And is it as good as LAUSD's? No, of course it's not as good. But you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. It gets it out of my system, and I'm staying pretty healthy. Somebody sent me this. I know this salad. This is a Midwest salad called the Piggly Wiggly salad, if you're from the Midwest. This is delicious. Okay, so let's look what's in it. Broccoli and cauliflower, great, right? 2 cups of shredded cheese, cheddar cheese, a pound of bacon, probably not. 2 cups of mayonnaise, a cup of sugar. So I am going to try actually making this salad, but this is what I would do. I would cut that cheese in half for starters, 1 cup of cheese, and I would make it a reduced fat cheese. And if it's mozzarella, a part skim mozzarella instead of cheddar, if I can't find a low fat cheddar, so be it. No bacon. I never do bacon. But what I would do is I'd caramelize those onions to give it just a little bit of a smoked flavor, a cooked flavor. Mayonnaise, I'd cut that mayonnaise probably in half, or, well, I wouldn't use mayonnaise. I would use my yogurt cheese. I'd cut the sugar in half for sure, and I would probably use honey. And I try it. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to taste like, but she said I can't have it anymore. I try it. Get it out of your system. This was interesting. I want to show you this video. Okay, So this is chipotle chicken tacos from Martha Stewart. This is like a 5-minute video, but I want to watch this video. And then I want to talk about, and this can absolutely be made healthy, but I want to talk about what I think she did wrong. Where did she go bad in this? Bear with me. This gets kind of dicey. After I've opened a few things up, it gets dicey. Okay. All right, here we go.
There's nothing that we like better here at Everyday Food, and me personally in my own life, than a delicious taco recipe. Today's recipe is a really fun and different taco. It's a chipotle chicken taco with a radish salad. It's a really fun take on a taco, and it's fun to make inside or outside on the grill. I'm just heating up my tortillas for my tacos. Just heat them directly on top of a gas burner or on a griddle or on your grill. Turn them with tongs until they start getting a little bit charred around the edges, and then wrap them in a towel. That just keeps them pliable and warm while you're doing the rest of your stuff. Just leave your grill preheating on a medium high while you get the rest of your ingredients ready. Making a really quick chipotle marinade for my chicken cutlets. I have 3 tablespoons of chopped chipotles in adobo, pre-done. Thank you very much. And I'm going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cumin and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, coarse salt. That is your rub. Stir that together and then add 4 chicken cutlets, turning to coat them. You kind of mush it around to make sure that there's a nice even distribution of the rub on each of the chicken cutlets. And then you're ready to grill. You don't need to let it sit. You don't need to let it marinate. Nothing like that. All right. I have my grill preheating, as you know, since you saw it before. I'm going to brush it with a little bit of oil. And chicken cutlets are so fantastic on the grill because they take no time to cook. We have 5 great recipes in our July issue. Put them on the grill, and these should take not very much time at all, especially if they're super thin. Just a couple minutes per side. Beware that when you are grilling chilies, you might start coughing. It's all that chili oil just going straight into your lungs. So if you start coughing, don't think, oh my gosh, I'm sick. Think, oh my gosh, it's those evil, evil chilies. But they're so delicious, it's worth it. Quickly make yourself a little radish salad. I have a bunch of radishes with the greens. I'm going to use the greens because I like them. Clearly, if you don't get your radishes with greens, don't worry about that part. You can actually use a mandolin if you have one. They make quick work out of it. I mean, they're good. They kind of make me nervous because I always feel like I'm going to cut my fingers off, but they're very useful. And you get really even, beautiful slices. While you're doing this, keep an eye on your chicken. You don't want it to overcook. Mine needs to be turned now. I want to turn these over now. I can see that they're almost completely opaque around the edges, which means I know that they're done, and you don't want it to burn. Always keep an eye on your cooking meat so you don't overcook it. There's nothing worse than dried out chicken breast. The chicken's done. Take it off when it's done. Oh, clean tongs, clean plate, no cross-contamination. Remove it from the grill. You can just let it rest while you finish the rest of your salad. Back here at the Radish Ranch, radishes in a bowl, and then thinly sliced 4 scallions. You can use just the greens or the whole thing, up to you, and add that. You're sort of making the traditional accompaniment of a taco and making it into a salad just so you can spoon it on top. It's kind of nice. And then a 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Season it with salt. And then you're going to serve this with avocado. So make sure you have some nice ripe avocados. Slice up your avocado. I would put avocado on a rock and eat it. I like it that much. It's like one of my top 10 favorite foods for sure. You don't need to be too exacting with this because you're just going to mush it onto your tortilla. Then slice up some of those radish greens. Radish greens have a nice peppery taste that adds a lot of fun bite to this dish. Like I said before, if you don't have radishes with greens, don't worry about it. It's just a nice addition. If you have them, why throw them away, right? And then slice up your chicken, add some spice to your life, make these tacos, and you're ready to assemble. Get yourself a tortilla or 10. All right, I'm gonna do 2. mash some avocado onto your tortilla. Use a fork, that'll work better than a spoon. Use a fork, it'll mash. If you use a spoon, it'll slide. Put some chicken, a little bit of that salad. Stir it up first. So bright pink and cheerful, I love it. Gorgeous. And then some of those leaves. Fresh leaves, fold, and eat. So quick and fast and easy. Why don't you spice up your life tonight and make these chicken tacos?
So I thought that was interesting. I may make those tacos, but this is what I would do differently. Okay. First of all, she started with chipotles that were pre-done. It's just I don't know. I don't use these a lot if you can get it healthier. This has sugar and soybean oil in it. She used a flour tortilla instead of a corn tortilla. You're not going to get a flour tortilla that isn't highly processed because it is what it is. I just pulled one mission and you can see they've got soybean oil and palm oil and preservatives. Use a corn tortilla. That's just corn and water. She charred them. Nothing should be black for carcinogens. She put that oil on a hot grill. Oh my gosh, the smoke. It broke the oil down and they've got the smoke going into the meat and she charred the meat black. You could do a healthier version of this really easy, but this isn't necessarily what she did healthy. Somebody sent me this and said, oh, I love pineapple upside down cake, but oh, they didn't send me this. They sent me an email that said, I love pineapple upside down cake, but I can't really eat it anymore. I know I can't. And I thought, well, I'm just going to look to see if there's a healthy pineapple upside down cake. So I pulled this recipe and I actually tried to make this recipe this week. And I made my substitutions because I don't think this is particularly healthy, even though it says healthy on it. It's made with yogurt, but it's made with a lot of sugar and a lot of butter. So I cut all that. And I have to say, and I'm sorry, I do not remember who sent me this, but I think you're right. Some things you just cannot make. Some things you just have to say, I can't do it. And this was one of them. Because I don't, though nothing grows mold at my house and I'll eat it sparingly, I don't think it's going to satisfy your urge for pineapple upside down cake. I tried. Eating out. This is a Subway menu and Subway has a lot healthier options than most, but just know going in there, there's a lot of stuff in there that is not healthy too. Some of these sandwiches have 3,200 milligrams of sodium. That's twice what you should have for the day. They've got a lot of saturated fat. You know, I had a very good friend who was a contractor for me, and I'd go to Subway for him and I'd say, what do you want? And he always got that Italian club with all those Italian meats and cheeses. He was a pretty healthy guy. He wasn't overweight. And he had a heart attack and he died on the 10 going home one night. He couldn't even make it to the side. He died on the 10 freeway. And I don't think Subway sandwiches killed him. Okay. But if he ate that way with me, he probably ate that way at home too. And it's bad for your heart. It's not, you know, more of us are going to die from heart disease than cancer. So almost everything I'm giving you here is also, you know, a good heart diet. This is from Dodger Stadium. It's very tough when you go to a venue like this to eat well. However, that being said, I think everybody now is trying to do better. There is a plant-based menu now, but I wouldn't eat any of that either because it's got all that, you know, pea protein and everything in it. But there is, even at Dodger Stadium, a United Healthcare Healthy Cart that has sandwiches and sushi and salads and fresh fruit and veggie cups. Something tells me it's not on the main level and you're going to have to walk for it, but it's there. You know, at least it's an option now that we didn't have before. So I got a lot of takeout menus, so I want to take a look at these. I just pulled them up online. There, okay. Pizza Boy in Glendale. This has a lot of vegan pizzas on it. I would not do the pizza cheese. I'm sorry, I'm looking to make sure you're getting what I'm getting. I have a little laptop over here to make sure that you're seeing this properly. The vegan cheese has a lot of junk in it. I wouldn't do it. I've gone out for pizza with friends and I just sometimes, you know, there's stuff in there I can eat. And sometimes I'll just have a pizza without cheese in it. This does have, looks like some pretty decent pizzas. This one's with smashed avocados and microgreens. It's got soups and salads. There's plenty of stuff here that you could eat. This was Rosty's. Not sure where this was. LA. Looks like Mexican or Spanish. A lot of meat, of course, a lot of beef, a lot of pork. I wouldn't do that. But you know, they've got fish and they've got chicken. You've got a lot of decent choices on this menu. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see all these. I'm so sorry, but I got a Zoom menu and it's covering some of them, so I'm sorry. I can't get to them. This is a Tibet menu. I think, is that similar to Indian? I like that. I would stay away again from the red meat. You've got yak meat and veal, but they've got seafood, they've got chicken, they've got vegetable. The thing about this menu, and I like Indian food, is they do a lot with cream. I just stay away from anything with a lot of cream in it. This looks interesting. This is in Studio City. It's close to me. I'm probably going to even try this. They have a lot of bowls with vegetables, Mediterranean. They have a vegan menu. This looks great, actually, to me. Hummus, tahini, this looks great. This one is the only plate in town, Sierra Madre. Again, this looks like it's got a lot of vegetarian options, good options, salmon bowls. You know, just make your choices based on everything that we've learned. Do the best you can. I mean, I wouldn't do baby back ribs. I wouldn't do prime rib, although I loved prime rib. Oh my goodness, back in the day, I loved a good prime rib. Sorry, I missed one of those simply because I couldn't get to it. So just a couple of quick tips. I'm not going to show you how to do this either. If someone can't do it, call me. I'll talk you through it. If you have a Gmail account, you can put in a Google alert. I suggest you do that. I have Google alerts for my cancer, for cancer and nutrition. You put in keywords, and then every day, daily, you get emails, any news that comes out about it. I would put in, if you are, you know, currently fighting your cancer, anything on maybe a clinical trial, nutrition, food. Let me just see if I have that on here quickly, if I have it. I do here. These are my Google alerts because I have BRCA1. So you just put in here what you want it to be alerted about. And then every day I get emails. I look at them or I don't, but I kind of stay on top of things that way. A little tip about cancer, about garlic. If you chop your garlic and then leave it sit for 5 or 10 minutes, it retains the anti-cancer properties that it's known for. If you chop your garlic and you put it right in your pan, it loses it. So kind of get in the habit of leaving your garlic, your chopped garlic or minced garlic sitting on the side. When summer comes, it's about to be here. If you can eat an artichoke, it is a superfood. I gave you the recipe for mine. If you can eat it whole as opposed to just the hearts, there are vitamins in the stem and the leaves. It's a superfood. This is from my garden. I love this. If you let it go, it becomes a flower. You're actually eating the bud of the leaf of the plant. Well, I think we do have enough time. I'm going to show you this. because this is the same way to make bread. I do a lot of pizzas at home. I used to own a pizza place, so, you know, that's where I go. So I am going to show you this.
I've got whole wheat flour, yeast, salt, olive oil, water, non-fat milk, cornmeal for dusting. Making pizza dough, or any dough for that matter, is not as difficult as most people think. It's about 10 minutes of work. So white whole wheat flour, because it's very similar in texture to white flour. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of yeast. And this is an instant yeast. That means I don't have to get it started in water first. I've got a teaspoon of salt. I've got 2 teaspoons of a natural brown sugar. Once my dry ingredients are in there, I'm going to add my wet ingredients. I'm going to add my milk, 3/4 of a cup. I'm going to add my water, another 3/4 of a cup. And then I'm going to add my olive oil, about a tablespoon. I'm going to mix this until it becomes a little sticky dough. And then we're going to turn it out on the counter. Since I use my countertop to knead out my dough, I'm going to spray it with a cooking spray. And now I'm going to turn my dough right out on my countertop. And now we're going to start kneading it into a ball. Just start bringing it together with your hands and mixing it. The best way to knead it is to just use your palms and just push away from you and then pull back. Push away from you and then pull back. You're going to knead it until it becomes a nice smooth dough, and then you're going to form it into a ball. And once it's formed into the ball, we're going to take a bowl that I've sprayed with some canola oil spray, and we're going to place the dough in the bowl and then cover it. I cover it with a piece of saran wrap, and then just set it aside for about an hour in a warm place till it doubles. After an hour and it's doubled in size, it looks like this. After the dough is risen to double, you're going to cut it into 4 equal pieces and make 4 small balls. And that will make 4 absolutely delicious whole wheat pizzas.
It's just that easy to make bread. It takes about 10 minutes work. It takes probably a couple of hours if you're making a yeast dough because you have to wait for it to rise, but it's literally 10 minutes of work. It's really easy to make your own bread. Soda bread is even easier. Rachel said she just made some beer bread. I made Irish soda bread for St. Patty's Day yesterday. All right, so I am going to show you how to make a pizza. You do need a paddle for this, but you know, the paddle and the tools I'm using cost about the price of a pizza that you would make out, that you would order out. Okay, here's
Okay,
my
today
pizza.
I'm going to make a veggie pizza, and I'm going to use peppers and onions, fresh cut tomatoes and olives, homemade pizza dough, basil and oregano, garlic, low fat part skim mozzarella. Turn my stove on. Well, first we're going to saute our vegetables, a little olive oil, and I'm going to chop up some onions. And we're going to put in the pan. I'm going to chop up our peppers, orange, red, and yellow. Okay. I'm going to saute those up so they're about half cooked because they're going to cook in the oven too. We're going to set that aside and make our dough. Okay, first we're going to take our ball of dough, just flatten it out a little bit. Then we're going to dust our board with a little bit of cornmeal. I like to use cornmeal because it makes the pizza real crisp. And now we're going to work the dough. You just want to get this to about 14-inch circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. I usually start it with my fingers and then I start rolling it with a rolling pin. Now we're going to start with working it with our hands. And what you want to do is you want to use your knuckles, not your fingers. Your fingers will go right through the dough. Now, when you get it to the size you want to put it back on your board. And if there's any holes in it, you can just patch them right here. Now, a little trick I do is when I'm done with this, I pop it in the oven for 2 minutes, and that'll make it easier to get off the board once all the toppings are on. After 2 minutes in the oven, you're ready to put your toppings on. Instead of a tomato base, I'm going to use garlic and olive oil. I'm going to use fresh oregano and fresh basil. And now we're going to take our vegetables, which we've pre-cooked, and spread them out, not quite to the end. Take some tomatoes and some olives. And now we're going to go for the cheese. I use a part skim, low fat mozzarella, and you don't really need that much. You still be flavorful. And that's it. Now we're ready to put it in the oven. You're going to shake it just to make sure it's loose. And I don't use a pizza brick. I put it right in my oven, right on the rack. Put it in there for about 10 minutes. You've got pizza.
If we ever get back into the kitchen again, we'll do that. Did I lose my, oh, I lost my video. Here we go. There, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll make pizzas. We've done it before. It's a lot of fun. So that's it. We have some time, a few minutes for questions if someone needs anything. If I know.
Thank you so much, Pam. I know we only have a couple minutes, so I'm not going to be able to get to all questions in the chat. But as Pam said, she will be back, be it in person or virtually. Pam has been so generous in coming back year after year to CSCP. So if you loved this series, please do make sure to keep your eyes peeled for the next one. It's not fair to do these food-related workshops on Zoom because I just leave hungry. Just a couple of questions, comments here. The 4-minute muffin recipe is on the back of the Ancient Greats package. That was just a clarification point, so everybody can find the recipe there. Someone did ask, many things are very high in sodium. Your thoughts on sodium?
1,500 milligrams a day is what you should have. That's what that second expert report said.
Great.
And then you're going to find that in processed food.
Great. Another question is kind of just around alternate sweeteners. What are your thoughts on maple syrup?
I think that, again, anything you eat is going to raise your sugar level and raise your insulin level just in moderation. It's not healthy either. Moderation. It's better than white sugar, but it's not, we shouldn't be eating a lot of it.
What foods or food combos do you recommend for people going through chemo to add to their diet or to eat more of?
I really don't know. I tell people to talk to your nutritionist. That's a whole nother ball game when you are actually going through cancer and you are, on chemo or radiation and trying to keep your weight up. I honestly don't know. Talk to everybody, almost every hospital or whatever has got a dietitian or a nutritionist. I talk to them.
And just one more comment here. I made the yogurt cheese from week 1, combined it with fresh basil, salt, pepper, small amount of olive oil, small amount of balsamic vinegar, chopped cucumbers, chopped carrots, chopped cherry tomatoes, red onion, and quinoa. So good. Again, Zoom food stuff is unfair. I'm just hungry.
Come to my house with that. That sounds wonderful.
We should have a potluck. We'll do that as a reunion, as a group. I can see we're right at time here. I'm sorry for any questions that we didn't get to, but like I said, we will not leave Pam alone. We are absolutely so appreciative of all the years that you've given to CSCP. Pam, I'm getting tons of gratitude pouring in through the chat.
Thank you so much. It's always my pleasure. And if I didn't get to it and I may not know it, like I say, I'll research it, I'll ask out, email me or call me if we didn't get to the question. We'll look at it. I learn a lot from these things too.
Thank you, Pam. And thank you everybody for coming and being a part of this series.
Thank you, everybody. Stay well.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Pam.
Bye.